Hello YouTubers, you're watching Just Do It Yourself channel. And today we have 2013 Chevy Cruze. A few issues that brought it to the shop. The first one is there was no heat in the cab. So when the vehicle came in, it was very low on coolant, so the coolant was not circulating through the heater core. So when the coolant was topped up, there was no visible leak of the coolant, though I noticed that it seems like thermostat is not opening, so the engine gets really hot, the radiator still is cold, and which potentially led to overheating and dumping the coolant through the reservoir, through the expansion tank. So at this point we will go ahead, we will change the thermostat, change the coolant, so you'll be able to perform your coolant flush, coolant change if needed, as well as changing the thermostat, so stay tuned. So first things first, when you work on a cooling system, you want to make sure that your engine is cold and there is no pressure in the reservoir. So normally you would let the engine sit for a while to reduce the pressure and the temperature. Otherwise you're risking to be steamed with hot coolant. So we'll go ahead, open the cap of the reservoir. If you're not sure, put a rag on top, so if something comes out, it's not going into your face. So there's no pressure, the engine is relatively cold. So next we need to find the drain valve and drain the coolant, as we will need to drain it, at least partially, to replace the thermostat, as well as we want just to change it. Yeah, so you'll get under the vehicle and your drain valve is just behind this cover. So we'll need to remove 1, 2, 3 Torx screws, I think it's the T15, to get access to that. Okay, so we have got access to that valve. We put the little hose on top of the outlet reservoir, like a small canister. Next we'll just use pliers to undo that valve. Sometimes it can be really stuck. This one is not too bad, so we will go with our hand and unscrew it until we can see coolant coming. So here we go, we received the coolant flow. You want to be careful not to go too far, because then it will start leaking coolant out of the valve itself. So now we're starting getting coolant. Also, you want to place oil catch tray just in this position, so if and when we disconnect the thermostat, there will be a dump of coolant too. Right, so the thermostat is just behind over there, just in this corner on the return hose to the radiator. So we'll need to remove this hose that goes from the airbox filter, so it's out of the way. It's 7 mil, and I will leave links to parts and tools below in the description to this video. So this went the wrong way. It's good, you can just put it aside. Now we will grab a clean rag and just put it inside of the intake pipe. You can use something like a paper towel, but one thing I don't like about paper towels, sometimes you forget to remove them. Hasn't happened to me, but happened to other people. As well as there is a chance the small piece might come off and mess up. So next we will need access to 1, 2, and I believe there's 2 or 3 bolts. Let's check. So here's the new thermostat, and we have 1, 2, 3 bolts but holding it to the head, to the engine basically. So this thermostat comes with the thermostat housing together. And as I mentioned, all the parts will be in the description below the video. So next I would like to get this hose out. There are ribs on this connector, so you just need to squeeze them and pull it out, though I will remove this little, maybe I was a little close or too close. I will remove this little line and we will squeeze on this and pull it off. Just like that. Now we can pull them both to the side. This gives us plenty of room to work with. So now we deal with this electrical connector to the thermostat. So we get that out. So you pry this piece out and pull it up. Just looking where it's attached. So it is attached to the... Okay. So now we have a good access to all those 3 bolts. Okay, next we need to disconnect the hoses. So this is the return hose. And there's this metal clip, so you pull it off until it gets into the place, like off position. And then you just wiggle it out. There is a rubber seal inside. At this point, you want to make sure that you have that oil catch tray underneath the car. There will be probably a splash of coolant. And also have a few rags, because it will not get just into the oil catch tray. So this one actually does not have any coolant inside. My guess is probably because the thermostat is closed and it won't let, but in your case, if you're just replacing a thermostat or changing coolant, it might have some coolant in this area. So next we need to remove that hose, and then over there is that like spring-loaded clamp, so we'll grab some tools for that. Okay, so I have special pliers for that, and I will try to use them, obviously, but it's very tiny spot in here, so I'm not sure if I will be able even to get them on. Maybe not. Let's try one more time. Yeah, this does not work. So I'll try this set of pliers with kind of remote piece. So I'll try to slide it underneath and then bring those together. This might work slightly better. So now the clamp is loose, we can take it down, we can leave it with the pliers. But if you don't have those, just pliers probably would work, like channel lock pliers normally works. So now we just need go with the pick or like a tiny screwdriver around that hose just to break the seal. And when the seal is broken, we can push that hose down. I think the seal is broken by now. Just want to go all the way around with this. Let's see if we can pull on that hose. If not, which there's not much room there, we can just push it down. And now the coolant is coming out, so be ready to catch it. Okay, so now it's just a matter of unscrewing those two screws that hold the thermostat. Alright, so those are E10 reverse Torx. You might need to play with extensions to get to the right lengths. There are still plenty of hoses around, like this AC hose, but that's E10 reverse Torx. So if you don't have it, you need to get it. Not sure why GM is using those. Normally you could see them on European vehicles, but now GM is using them too. So we'll try to get to the bottom one. Okay, so cannot really see it. So if you need to guess location of it, you can look onto your new thermostat housing. Just got it on. Yeah, and as soon as you get them loose, you don't need ratchet anymore. So you get also the third bolt loose. Now they should come by hand. Actually want to get the bottom one undone first, so you don't have to worry about that one. Also, while we are doing that, I think it's good to discuss if you should change a coolant or not. So the recommendation for coolant change is, I think it's every 50,000 miles, so 5 years. Some vehicles have more. Regardless, interestingly enough, that thermostat started to come apart already. So going back to coolant is quite critical part of your system, since it cools the car, but also it lubricates the pump, and also it prevents or protects your radiator and your heater core and all the parts where it goes to from corrosion. So there are inhibitors of corrosion in coolant, and with time they are losing their power. So you need to maintain a fresh coolant in the system. So that thermostat fall apart. So basically this plate on top just fall down. So in your case, if you remove it, make sure that there is nothing stuck in that opening where the thermostat goes. So you can see there are broken plastic pieces, so it's not good. So next we'll go ahead with emery cloth, like really fine sandpaper, and just clean the area where this thermostat sits. This engine's famous for leak on the thermostat, so you don't want that to happen after you do this job. So go ahead, go away all the way around, clean it, make sure that it is nice and shiny, because we want that rubber seal to do its job and seal it properly. And as the last step, we will clean this with a paper towel. All good. So now here's the new thermostat. We probably want to get that bottom little hose put on while we have control over the thermostat. Just like that. And we will actually release that clamp so it stays in place while we are working on it. So we will push the clamp back up where it's supposed to go. Just over there, and then we will release the tool. All right. So now we can put the thermostat back on. So all those bolts are M6 and the same length, so we don't worry about switching places. So we'll get started. When you do the thermostat specifically with like this plastic type, you don't want to get one side tight while the other one is fully loose. You want to go evenly on all the bolts, because they have a tendency to leak if you don't apply even pressure on all three sides. Some thermostat will have only two bolts, and those are the worst. So we will get this bolt started. So we'll start with top two that we can see, and then we will place the bottom one. Those two should give enough guide, so we should not experience any issues with the last one, as long as we can find the hole. And as I mentioned, they normally easy to turn, and if they are not, then you probably shouldn't, because most likely you got them cross-threaded. So now when the thermostat is snug, we will torque it to 71 inch/pound, and we want to go in again evenly, do it evenly. It's just a little bit. Okay, let's start with this one. So 71 inch/pounds. There's not much torque on this. This is 71. This is 71. We will do the one for the bottom one. As I mentioned, you might need to play with your extensions to get it to the right lengths. And that's 71. So we should be good. So that small hose is already attached. We will go ahead and attach this one. So before you do that, you want to make sure that this metal clip is all the way down, so it's in a locked position. So when we push it in, it will click, and then you know that it is in place. So now we will reconnect this wiring harness. We will put this line back on, and we will reattach those little clamps. So now we can reinstall that intake. Those are 7mm clamps. Same on this side. Okay, so system is almost back in place. We will do those. So now we can start with closing the drain valve and filling the coolant. Okay, so this is the amount of coolant that we drained. There was obviously some on the floor. So now we will go ahead. We'll close that valve. And remove the hose. You'll need to reinstall those 3 T15 Torx. Alright, so let's talk coolant. What color to use, what brand to use. The color doesn't matter. All coolants are basically the same. The color is added artificially just to match different manufacturers. As long as you use good quality, known brand like Celsius, by Preston, you will be safe. You use concentrate. I don't like to use pre-mixed because you obviously don't know what was mixed. As well as 50-50 mix, I will show you quickly, is good till -37. We are in Canada, it also quite frequently gets to below -37 to -40, -45. So we want to have higher concentration of coolant. Normally, you don't want to go more than 70% of coolant because it becomes corrosive. It will eat your system. So anything between 50 and 70% is good. I'm doing 70 because we obviously have some coolant left in the system. So at the end of the day, it will be probably 60-40, which is perfect for us. So let's start filling. We have drained just over 3 liters, so we expect to put the same amount back. Okay, so if you have a funnel like this with connector to the reservoir, that's great. If you don't have one, get one. It's cheap. I will leave a link in the description for you on Amazon. Delivered to your door. If you don't want to buy, if you don't have time to buy, you have your reservoir, so you can add directly to the reservoir. Just make sure not to overfill, not to waste your coolant, not to spill your coolant. So you'll need to be a little bit more careful. You can't just dump a liter at a time. So now you see it's bubbling, so you'll get another liter ready. So here's liter number 2. And this is liter number 3. So the air is coming out. Many people are afraid of doing coolant job, coolant flush, coolant change, because they're afraid that they won't be able to get the air out. 99% of the chance, if you just do basic procedure, you squeeze your hoses, you push that air out, you do your up radiator hose, lower radiator hose on the other side where the thermostat is, you will get majority of the coolant out and you have no issue. The thermostat would open, it would work. There is that 1% that doesn't matter what you do, the thermostat would not open. There is air trapped. In most of the cases, you leave it for the night, you let it cool down fully. Next morning, you start the vehicle. It's all good. So I never had actual issues getting air out of the system. So you don't need special tools. You don't need to worry about it too much. So 3 liters went in. We'll get the 4th one ready. Another thing that I'm hearing a lot when you do your coolant fill, you want to get your cabin heater, like the heat inside all the way in, so the coolant is allowed into the system. That's not true too, because coolant goes through the heater core regardless, either heater is on or off. All you control is how the airflow, either it goes through the heater core or not. So no need to do that. So at this point we have fluid in a funnel, which is expected. If you don't have a funnel, you obviously need to control it in the reservoir. So we will squeeze those hoses a few more times. You see some bubbles still coming out. And after no more bubbles coming out, we'll start the engine, let it run. We will watch the engine temperature. We would expect it to go up to like 90 degrees Celsius. Then we would expect the lower radiator hose that is connected to the thermostat get hot. The radiator will get hot. We can also monitor it with a scan tool, the engine temperature and radiator temperature. So yeah, I think we are ready to start the engine. So as soon as you start the engine, you will see that bubbles will start coming up. And at this point, like specifically when you're not using the funnel and you don't have that extra fluid here, you want to watch the reservoir level, and if it's getting low, just top up the fluid. You don't want it to catch more air. But now it will probably take 15-20 minutes for the engine to get hot. So I will pause the video. So in the cab we can see that temperature is getting close, exactly what was shown on the scan tool, around 80 degrees, so give it a few minutes. So we are at 86 right now on the coolant side and 11 on the radiator side. So the 11 is pretty much the temperature inside the shop. We are at 90 and thermostat is still closed. Just touching the radiator hose and it's cold. Here we are at 94 and it's still closed. So the temperature gauge is getting where it's supposed to be. So some thermostat opens at 100 or 103 degrees. For that we might need to actually close the reservoir cap to increase the pressure, because coolant might be boiling, but by that point, if the reservoir cap is open, you can see it's evaporating now. So we are at 97, it's still closed. So it's at 99, and we can see that desired engine coolant temperature is 105. So it's at 100 now. So we will see if we can get this to 105 without closing the reservoir, or we might need to close it. Sorry, my mic fell off. So we are at 102 degrees Celsius right now. The radiator is still cold, so the thermostat hasn't opened yet. Desired temperature is 105, so we'll see what will happen when we get to 105. I think it actually just opened. The return radiator hose is getting hot. So it's 105 desired and 105 actual. Here's what happens next. Okay, it's going higher. It's 106 now. And it seems like that lower radiator hose is getting hot, at least at the top. So 107. In the cab it looks like this. Seems like there's still a bit room to go. Okay, it's 108. It seems like our coolant is starting to boil, so we'll shut the engine. 108, radiator is still. This hose is getting hot, as well as this one is super hot, but I don't see change in radiator temperature, so I'll shut the engine down. Alright, so the engine is quite hot right now. We will plug down the funnel, we will run and save the coolant. So now I'll put the cap back on. To me it almost seems like the pump is not working. So basically what is happening, I can feel that the return hose is quite hot at the top, but it's cold at the bottom. And supply hose is hot at the outlet of the engine, but is barely warm at the bottom. So thermostat seems like it opened, but seems like pump is not pushing the fluid through the radiator. So we'll start the engine again and we'll monitor the temperature. Alright, so it seems like we got some positive progress. So the engine temperature is 107, and now you can see that the radiator temperature is going up. So you need to get engine to roughly at least 106, 107 for that thermostat to open and the flow started to go. So what's happening now, this is super hot, and return is actually cold. So it was getting hot probably because the temperature transmission from engine block, but now because the cold coolant is flowing through it, it's cold at the top too. So we can see that radiator went to 40, which is exactly what we want it to be. And let's take a look what's happening inside the cab. Inside the cab, this temperature gauge still stays the same, which is weird. I don't think it's showing the correct value. Alright, so radiator temperature is going up constantly. Desired coolant temperature 105, engine coolant temperature 107, so I think the system is functioning as expected. So just quickly sum up, this thermostat will open at around 160 degrees, not 90, not 100, what is normally what I would expect. So it was a little bit nerve-wracking.